Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to Ferg Sports Bar and Grill here live on Central Avenue, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete on the Sports Web, the evolution of Sports Talk Television. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Cabell, Blake and Blake Sports, and Mr. Travis Faley of Rocket.
Two Blakes in a butt. How about that, huh?
And we talked Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We talked about the McCoy situation, JPP, and of course Kendall Beckwith, and the draft picks, and also Tampa Bay Lightning. So let's kind of switch gears a little bit. But if you missed the announcement today, if you're a Bucs fan, you definitely want to listen up. On road games during the season, Fergs and the Sports Web and Bucs Report have developed a great relationship. We want to have you guys out here for watch parties. We're going to have pre-shows, we're going to have a halftime show, and of course a post-game show. But why we call it the evolution of Sports Talk Television? Because basically we get fans' responses. There is... He's definitely ride it until he can't come home. That damn song, I don't know who sings it, but it's Billy Ray Cyrus singing on it. But again, come out here to Ferg's, 1320 Central Avenue during football season. If you want to talk Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you're a Buccaneer fan, if you want your voice heard, you get that opportunity here live at Ferg's. I got to get your thoughts again, Blake. Are you excited about this?
You damn right I am, Peter. Yeah, get out there and have our own little game party here, yep. Pre and post, just like we did with the Apollos. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the reason why we did it. We developed that relationship. The NFL draft party was a success. Mark Ferguson definitely wants to continue his relationship with Bucs Report and the Sports Web, and we're going to do it, right, Travis?
Hot wings, hot bartenders, cold beer, Buccaneers, NFL package. What more could you want?
Hot takes from Travis.
Hot knowledge, baby.
NFL, my correspondent just got off the phone with Leo Haggerty. We'll have him, have the great Al Keck most likely in the building, possibly Pat Yacinskis, Tampa Ray Kennedy, possibly Philip Schwegler. Just keep on tuning in. Possibly Sean the Sports Don if, he decides he wants to come out and play, but, he's vanished. So we'll see if we can get Mr. Sean the Sports Don. Just keep on tuning in.
Hashtag incarceration. We are across the street from the police station.
Oh, he called you out. He called you out. Okay, so we're here live on Bucs Report, bucsreport.com. Join our 61,000 following on Facebook and check out great Bucs content on bucsreport.com. So let's switch gears a little bit. Talk about the NBA. Golden State with a huge victory last night without Kevin Durant, and all you heard, fellas, was the fact that Durant, if he didn't play, the Warriors were in trouble, and you would think with Chris Paul and James Harden that they would be able to do something, and yet it's the same old isolation basketball, the ruination of basketball. Guys, go ahead and comment about the big win by Golden State last night.
Well, that's a huge win for Golden State, and they reminded everybody that Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are still the Splash Brothers. Still the Splash Brothers. Even though Kevin Durant seemed like he was the lonesome hero, when they didn't need Durant to begin with all those years ago, winning a championship without him, being to another and losing to LeBron and another. So they didn't have issues getting to the finals to begin with without Kevin Durant.
Well,
with that being said,
when Kevin Durant's not with the Warriors, when he's been with them, obviously on the team but hasn't played, the Warriors are 30-4, Pete. I mean, that's unbelievable, including last night. You look at that game. I don't know who watched it out there. I know I watched it. It was fantastic. It was the best players in the world playing at times at their best. Even when Curry had a down first half, 0 for 5, no points, and the game was tied. Iguodala, 5 for 9. You had guys stepping up. Klay Thompson had a nice first half, covering up for Curry. You knew you could not hold down the best shooter that I've ever seen in my 48 years in this world. Yeah. Hands down. It was always Larry Bird until Steph came around. And that guy hit shots. He did that double crossover move on Tucker at the end of the game, and it was unbelievable to pop that three to basically put the game away.
Put the game away.
It's phenomenal what that team can do, even without Durant, but they still have great players in Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond. I forgot.
Draymond had a down night last night too, but he brings that energy.
He plays good defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And Curry had 3 fouls in the first half, and I don't understand why teams don't take more advantage of this. When you got a guy, arguably a top 3 player in the world, the one guy that's going to be able to put the ball in the bucket almost at any time from the three-point range, and he's one of the, obviously we just talked about it, the best shooter ever. You got 3 fouls on him in the first half. You go at him every time you have the ball and get him out of the game.
Yep,
I don't understand why teams don't go at the players, the best players who have the most fouls.
Well, that's old style thinking, Travis. It's old style basketball. They don't do that no more. And nobody plays that tough, gritty basketball anymore. It's turned into a real finesse game and sit behind the 3-point isolation, play no defense. That's what the NBA is now.
Well, to me, you get one of those guys off the bench. You take a 7 or an 8 guy on your team, and when James Harden comes down the lane, you take his head off.
Right.
You know, you might get the flagrant, but you're going to tell James Harden and even Steph. Steph drives the lane all the time.
Stay outside.
It's missing the big man and the physicality, and that's why you see so many shooters get off.
Well, that's why I'd love to see Denver win, because I'd love to see Jokic down on the block against, he's
an old school center.
Draymond.
Yeah.
You know, Draymond, I think, is only 1 or 2 techs from being suspended. I know Joel Embiid from the 76ers, 1 more tech, and he's out for a game in the playoffs, and you can't have that. That's the same thing like Kucherov we were talking about earlier. But, yeah, some of these players now wouldn't last a season or two if they played back in the day with Lambeer and Oakley and those guys.
Oh, no, they wouldn't last at all.
Detroit bad boys.
Absolutely. The game's totally changed. There's no hand checking. There's nothing going on.
Rick Mahorn, I mean, you got to have that aspect of it, and if you don't, I think Golden State is clearly the favorite, even if they don't have Durant, and they may most likely get Durant back by Game 5, and then also, fellas, there's a chance for them to get back Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins, sometime this postseason. If they get both of those players back, although they're not going to be 100%, you put those guys in your lineup, you have a mismatch nightmare.
Right.
And there's a big play in that game late where both teams just seem to be going through the motions, and there was a loose ball on the floor, and I think the game was tied, or Houston might have been up by 2, and Sean Livingston took the initiative to dive on the floor and grab the ball. He's playing in place of KD at times, and other guys obviously, but he dove on the floor and got that loose ball, and that led to a 3, and that basically shifted the game. You want your players to go to the floor. This is the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
This is a win or die
now
type
or go
deal.
home.
Exactly.
Right.
You also saw Steve Kerr really go at and out-coach Mike D'Antoni.
Sure.
Mike D'Antoni, after that game, he looked, I said it yesterday, looked like he let his wife's dog out the door and it got smashed by a truck. He just looked, he was done.
Yeah.
He was absolutely done, and that's that ISO ball.
Right, and that, again, isolation basketball, there's 2 plays. Going back to the Rockets, it seems like they're very talented with Chris Paul and James Harden, but to me, after that, you basically have nobody else. Is it the players themselves not becoming two-way players because they don't play defense and not getting the other players involved? Because I used this case last night on the Sports Web. Michael Jordan was a great scorer, which is what James Harden is, but as far as a two-way player, he's not that defensively, and on top of it, he doesn't believe in his teammates. Guys, he has to get those other guys involved, and it hasn't worked out. It's only those 2 players, and they're not going anywhere.
And it's when those guys, and this is pretty much like any other basketball team, it's when those other guys, the guys that can go 3 to 7, that are putting the ball in the bucket, and that's why you're successful, because you're a team, you're playing team ball. And with KD not on the floor, the Warriors moved the ball really, really well.
Yeah.
And you saw that last night. They were a plus 10 in the 4th quarter when it counted yesterday against the Rockets.
Yeah. No, and what you're watching right now is the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web live here at Ferg's Sports Bar and Grill, downtown St. Pete on Central Avenue. Of course, the Rays playing the Yankees tonight. Some bad news for Rays fans. Tyler Glasnow out 4 to 6 weeks with a forearm injury, so hopefully the Rays can pick it up as they got back Austin Meadows last night with a home run, but the injury bugaboo has really hurt this team. So going forward in the NBA, besides the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference, you wanted to talk Bucks basketball, not Bucks football, Milwaukee Bucks. Right now, in your opinion, is the Greek Freak the best player in the NBA?
Well, yeah, because he's
I don't think he's the best player. KD is still the best player.
Yeah, I guess, yeah,
Are they
you're
the best
right.
team playing like the best team? Probably. They got a bunch of guys that you've never really even heard of unless you really
Michael
Chris
Brogdon.
Middleton, you never heard of that guy before this year.
No.
But what they're doing, they're playing team ball, and that's why they are where they are. Kyrie Irving, to me, is one of the most overrated players. He is a Robin. He is not a Batman.
He figured he's learned that going to Boston.
Does he go back to the Lakers?
Yeah,
because that's what, and it's funny because
go to the Lakers because he's never been there.
Well, I think if Ty Lue would have
go back to LeBron.
Okay, well,
back to Daddy.
Right, go back to LeBron.
If Ty Lue would have got named the coach, I think Kyrie goes back. But now they're interviewing Bickerstaff and all these retreads. Come on, you still have a crummy roster on that club.
Oh God,
and you still have. The problem with the Lakers is the fact of LeBron James. He's not only declining, I think he's still one of the best players in the NBA, not the best, but his skills are declining. And then on top of it, the confidence aspect, most of the players on that team know that he wants another superstar. Honestly, I don't think this thing can work out. And Laker fans are protesting yesterday. I mean, it's just a mess situation.
Well, they're protesting, but those guys look like a bunch of jackasses out there.
They
really did.
They do.
I mean, there's a reason why you would.
It was the worst showcasing of protesting I've seen ever. So.
And I had some of those clips I wanted to download, and I will on maybe Monday or Tuesday night, but it was unbelievable with some of the comments. A guy said, well, in order to make the Lakers better, you just have to get rid of everybody and get all great players. Easier said than done there, genius.
Wow, thanks, Captain Obvious, come on. When Captain Obvious throws his mighty basketball, get the hell out of here.
Yeah,
Go home with your signs.
So Milwaukee, you have Toronto, and you have Philadelphia. Boston, of course, is done, but out of all those three teams, who do you see coming out of the Eastern Conference at this point?
I just want to see Milwaukee.
Got Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Not going to budge me on that.
No?
I'll tell you, I would like to see the nightmare that is the 76ers, but I don't think they're ready for prime time. I think they lose.
Well, Ben Simmons can't shoot to save his life. Everything's got to be a dunk.
They don't work together.
Nope.
Embiid and Simmons do not work together. They're going to have to retain Jimmy. But Jimmy's an older Jimmy Butler.
He's up and down.
He's an older player, and yes, he is up and down, but he is a rock-solid defensive player.
Embiid's the guy
you might see Jimmy go to the Lakers and play with LeBron. That wouldn't be a bad combination.
Yep.
But Jimmy's also not the best teammate. You saw what he did in Chicago. You saw what he did in Minnesota. And now, if he can't get Philadelphia over the
He's done with him too.
Yeah. What's that?
He said be done with him. They would rather keep Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler.
Well, they'd have to switch that roster around. You got the second best starting roster in the NBA. You got the second best roster in the NBA, and if you can't get to the finals, that's an issue.
I agree with you. The two people I keep off of that, Simmons is inconsistent as hell. Yeah. I think we all agree with that.
He's got the Kardashian curse.
Yeah, he's inconsistent.
That's what it comes down to.
Is that what it is? So I ain't gonna get into all that. But the guy, I'm agreeing with Travis. You go with Embiid as the solid stud,
right? And
like I said, I keep Tobias Harris and go ahead and move on from Simmons and Butler and see what you can get.
The problem with Embiid, though, you never know what you're going to get. It's like he's a box of chocolates with his, I got a little bit of a brain issue. I got a little sniffle. I think I can't. It looks like he got hit by a Mack truck the other day pregame.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a little sniff. Come on, man.
Stay healthy. He's not healthy. On top of it, he has knee problems. He has all the potential in the world. But
Gerald McCoy? Oh, we talking about Embiid.
Players don't work together, but we are working together here live on the Sports Web Live.
There's a whole lot of color going on in the shirts, I'll tell you what.
At Ultimate Logo 1812 Main Street, definitely go out and see them. Tell them the Sports Web sent you. Of course, Peter Blake.
Hey, let's thank Keith Larson while we're at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Big Keith
Larson, Ramblin' Tony Rossi.
Ramblin' Rossi, baby.
Everything together. Of course, Sam Ash Music. And again, this relationship with Mark Ferguson and Fergs coming up during the regular season, coming up this season, coming out here for the Sports Web, and also maybe possibly some Rays watch parties. But the big news of the day, we will be out here for Tampa Bay Buccaneer watch parties during road games. We'll have your your halftime, and also your post-game shows. And we want to get fans' responses. That's what we want to do, because it is the evolution of sports talk television. It's a fan's voice. You get the opportunity. We have all the equipment ready. So let's go out to Bucks Report. read some text messages, and then we'll wrap it up for the day because this has been a great day. It is hot out here. And, of course, hopefully the Rays will beat the Yankees tonight. You start seeing a lot of Rays fans file in. You also see a lot of Yankee fans. Golden State has way too much talent on the bench. Even without KD, they are stacked. Remember, they won a championship before KD joined the team.
If you call Sean Livingston and Loney your bench, I mean, in past years they had better players on their bench.
Sure.
You know, they're lucky that they're getting some help up in the 6, 7, 8.
That's the thing. That's the thing about great
teams. That's Steve Kerr, man.
Yep. Steve Kerr coming from Chicago Bulls.
Absolutely.
There you go. All right, Mike D'Antoni can't win a ring no matter where he goes. He had some really good teams in Phoenix. No rings to show for it. His skill to get his team into the postseason, but they always fold. Agree with that? Is he the type of coach that will get you there, but eventually will not get you over the hump? Is that a fair assessment? Because people say that
about the pudding.
Right.
His record,
Marty
can't argue it.
Schottenheimer.
You can't argue
and football.
Well,
just saying.
And Marty's, I still don't believe Marty should have been fired. I know this isn't basketball.
14-2.
It's not. 14-2 is obviously not the coach. I said your players ultimately have to be the ones to make the play, and I'll never forget that game. Since we're talking about that, the Chargers had got an interception against Tom Brady. Instead of the DB going down to the ground, he tries to advance the ball and gets it stripped out. And if you guys remember that game, and New England recovers and scores on that drive. That's not coaching. That's
it sounds like you had money on that game.
No, I just I don't understand. Ultimately,
how many years ago was that?
But I'm just saying, ultimately, because a lot of people want to say get rid of these coaches and all that. So how is that an upgrade if you get rid of Is somebody else going to come in and get 14-2 record after you fire Martin Schottenheimer? No, that didn't happen. So how did you get better by getting rid of your coach that went 14-2? How does that thinking help you get better?
Everybody wants a scapegoat, man.
It's always about
coach. What are you going to do? You're going to get rid of LT, Daniel Thomas?
Well, ultimately, they did.
Showed up in the postseason. He never showed up in the postseason ever since he was with the Chargers. He was always hurt or ineffective.
I tell you what, it's getting packed down here, guys. I mean,
it really is.
It's going to be a nice crowd for the Rays and the Yankees tonight at the Trop.
You know, all these New Yorkers here.
Well, you know, it's nice, guys. You know, everybody puts down the Trop. Everybody puts down the Trop, you know. We got some nice places around the Trop to go to.
Yeah, Central Air is amazing.
Inside, you don't have to deal with 90-degree heat. You don't have to deal with, you know, sweaty faces and red shirts.
Exactly. Yeah. And the heat, I always say you have to have an outdoor stadium, but it be retractable. It's one of those days where I would probably rethink that whole assessment, and if it's retractable, you definitely close it because it is definitely.
So we're gonna go ahead and close it.
It's going to be closed 75% of the time. Does it really make sense? But you know, that's the biggest problem with everybody complaining about the Trop. Yes, is it a bit dated? It's comfortable in there.
Right.
It's not the best looking stadium. You're seeing a good style of baseball. You got some of the best teams in the world coming to town. Get out there, support this club, buy some $5 hot dogs, and get out there. Why not?
Absolutely. It's a great atmosphere. You can't get a ticket this weekend versus the Yankees, but, you know, other times when the Royals are in town or the Diamondbacks, it's 9,000. I don't like to criticize the fans.
I sort of get that, though, man. People want to see the best players, you know, and sometimes, I mean, how many guys on Kansas City can you name?
Is there a belief in the Rays? And I get it, they're having, you know, last couple of years, they've kind of turned it around. They get rid of Joe Madden. You have Kevin Cash. In your opinion, guys, is there a belief in this team that they're going to be consistent winners, or is it always going to come back to the ownership not willing to spend enough money and always the stadium situation? Because I think if the ownership would stop talking about it, and if they may start spending a little bit more money consistently and they continue to win, you would start to develop these fans. But it seems like it's almost like a McCoy situation where it's always going to be a distraction. It's always going to be talked about.
It's a negative Nancy mentality. And to me, I think some of that's also on the team, Pete.
Right.
Because, you know, there's not a lot of positivity when it comes to the stadium, you know, from management. And I don't really think they support or promote their team in a lot of this community, not only in St. Petersburg, but over in Clearwater and over in Tampa. There's just not a lot of, you know, not a lot of promotion. And you need that because, you know, you're out of sight, out of mind in the grand scheme of things, especially with NBA going on The NFL is now a full year deal, and then you also got the NHL. And granted, the Lightning are in, but hockey people are going to watch the games.
Sure.
I thought I wasn't going to watch the game after the Lightning got taken out, and I watched every game pretty much.
Right, and I think at the end of the day, you still have TV ratings that are definitely going up with people watching. So they're watching at home, but they're not coming out, and it's been a comfortable thing for a lot of these fans. But I just love this area. I've never been down here as much. Getting down here, getting out to
get you out.
Beautiful, man. I need to get.
We're
some
also
sun in my
protected
life.
by St. Pete's Finest across the street.
Right across the street. So
exactly.
if you get out of hand, or Sean decides to come back and go crazy, I shouldn't say that.
Wow, what's wrong with you? I was joking. Hashtag incarceration.
Sean the Sports Don, we're going to keep on doing this to you until you come back here live on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports.
It's called cyberbullying here.
Shut up. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Blake.
Yeah, was a bum.
Along with Travis Bailey of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, trying to basically start a fight right now with Yankee fans. Thanks a lot here, Bucks Report. So
I don't think we realize he's wearing a Jeter jersey.
No, I don't think so either. I think he got that.
We're talking about the NBA. So is it Milwaukee and Toronto? I mean, Kawhi Leonard, does he stay with the Raptors?
We don't know. I don't know where Kawhi is.
It's a better organization than the Lakers. It's a better organization, I think, than the Clippers. Even though the Clippers made the playoffs, Toronto has some good young pieces there. You have Kyle Lowry, who's not great in postseason, but Kawhi Leonard's been really good. I think he should stay with Toronto.
Kawhi, well, it's really hard to tell where his allegiance lies, so it's really up in the air. I really have no opinion on Kawhi, but I know we were talking about Giannis earlier. He can play any position on the court.
Sure.
He can play from point guard to center, and I think in time he will be the league's best player. I agree with Travis. Right now it's Durant, but again, I always get on Durant. He wasn't this superstar till he got to the Warriors when he felt like he didn't have to be that guy when the playoffs and the games were on the line, because he wasn't the man when he got swept by LeBron and company in the finals, when him and Russell Westbrook and James Harden were on the roster together. People forget that.
Let's talk about
there's only one ball.
Right. Well, let's talk about OKC.
I think,
but you weren't the man when you
one of
were
the most overrated players out there.
Agreed.
He never met a shot that
Who
he
you
didn't
talking
like or take, for that matter. And I think he's a selfish player. I think Paul George, if you let Paul George run that show with Westbrook being the Robin to Paul George, I think they'd have much better opportunity to win basketball games.
All right, let's switch gears. Let's go out to Bucks Report. Good question here from Ocala's own Mike Tackett. How can professional spring football survive? Vince McMahon has put in more money in the XFL.
He's going all in.
Yeah, well, $900 million in assets by February. Accessibility is higher than it's ever been, and more players are more than capable of benefiting from a league like this. Is the XFL our last opportunity to get spring football right? Absolutely, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to be competitive. Vince is taking it seriously. He has the proper people in place.
Making a video game.
Luck. On top of it, they're going to be in Tampa, so there's going to be excitement here with this.
Where did the
league.
players come from? That's what I want to know.
Besides their mothers.
I'm sorry.
And don't forget, you got the
I almost jumped off this chair. Yeah, I really did. I said, did you just say my mother?
Oh, there he is.
We're actually on live right on. We got Mark Ferguson, owner of Fergs here on the Sports Web. Go ahead and get on this camera. Big announcement today. We're going to be joining you on Buccaneer Road Games for Buccaneer watch parties. You told me yourself you want this bar to basically be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer bar. Go ahead and talk about the excitement here during the road games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and watch parties going forward with Bucks Report in the Sports Web.
Well, with 84 TVs inside and outside, we can cram a lot of people. If you like sitting in air conditioning, we have that. If you want to sit outside like you're at the game, you can do that. So it's always exciting here, and we cannot wait for football season.
Absolutely, and I think the great thing about Fergs, because we have the technology, because the draft show went so well with having Al Keck out here, Tampa Ray Kennedy, but the fans also having a DJ out here, you give the fans the opportunity to basically, have that voice. Talk to Buccaneer fans a little bit. Tell them the reason, not only the TVs, but the food is great, the service is great, and you get this unique opportunity to do this during the season. It's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable opportunity.
27 years of putting this together, and we're ready. We're ready to serve everybody in the Tampa Bay area. We want you to come down and have a good time. You can even bring your dog. We have a dog park.
Yes, he does.
You can axe throw in the back while you
Don't you have 2 floors too?
We have 2 floors, so if you want your private party, you can have it upstairs.
Yeah.
So come out and see the Bucks, and I'll try and get my friend Mike Allstott down once in a while. Thank you.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, there you go. Mr. Mark Ferguson, the owner of Ferg's, 1320 Central Avenue in St. Pete. Again, the big announcement. Watch parties for Buccaneer fans during the road opportunities. Of course, the schedule is crazy.
And you get my film breakdowns at every game this season.
I love that. I mean, we'll have Bucks Report staff here. We'll have Sports Web guys. You just got to tune in. Likes of Al Keck, Leo Haggerty, Mr. Travis Faley, my Around the NFL insider, Blake Cabell, Bucks Report, Tampa Ray Kennedy, Philip Schwegler, yours truly. Everybody.
We're kicking you out, so you're out. We're taking over. We're taking over.
And of course, the
Because he doesn't
fans.
eat veggies.
Right.
Sounded like
Shut
Pantera
up.
right there. We're taking over this town.
We are taking over. And look,
Put it on my back.
there's not another Bucks platform doing this. We have a 61,000 following. We want you Bucks groups to come out here and talk with us about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because there's 3 things we say about the Sports Web. Bring your passion, bring your excitement.
Just don't bring any veggies.
Nonsense.
Oh, it's nonsense.
So are you going to go to the Slipknot show? You've been talking about this. You know, we
I
do
wanna
talk
go.
music on
I've
this
been to a
show.
Slipknot show before with Corey Hart. Now,
Yeah, Corey Hart.
Corey
Yeah,
Hart.
Who's that?
sunglasses at night.
Who's that?
Yeah, I can see Corey Hart fronting
Is that Kevin Hart's cousin?
Oh man!
But
I
okay.
throw him a fist.
Oh, you're killing me. You're absolutely killing me. Okay, so Corey Taylor has knee surgery. There's talk of Slipknot going on live TV on the 17th, and we'll get back to football in a minute.
Jimmy Kimmel, I
Right,
believe,
Jimmy
right?
Kimmel. Do you think he makes it out there?
I know he might bring that big old chair out that Dave Grohl and Axl Rose use. So we'll
Oh,
see.
Lord.
I just
believe
can't
I
see
said
him wearing the
Corey Hart.
mask on that big old throne
That
chair.
would be cool,
so
though.
That would be pretty
Be
cool.
very cool.
But yeah, that's what I'm segueing into is that Mark Ferguson and Fergs out here has had some great bands. Buck Cherry's been out here
It's
drowning
perfect
pool.
for that.
I'm sure he's going to keep that going. So get out to Fergs. Pete, you know I got to go. You guys can wrap this madman show of a show. And it's been great being on. I
I'll
really
tell you
appreciate
what,
it.
let's just wrap it up here. Final
wrap it all
thoughts,
together.
Travis Faley.
Final thoughts.
Go Bolts.
Travis Faley, Travis RSEN, Twitter and Instagram. Follow me. Hot knowledge, hot takes with Peter Blake. Blake and Blake.
Yes, Blake and Blake Sports, Blake Cabell.
Final thoughts? Get down here. Make Fergs your away game party. I mean, there literally is there's not one for away games. There really isn't a spot, and this place can fill everybody. Like he said, it's there's 3-4 rooms plus the back and upstairs. Might as well get down here.
Yeah, stick with Bucks Report, bucksreport.com. Join our 61,000 following here on the evolution of sports talk television. It's the Sports Web.
Don't forget the end game spoiler.
No, don't do that. For Travis Faley of Rocket Sports and Entertainment, my Tampa Bay Lightning insider for Blake and Blake's Blake Cabell, yours truly, Peter Blake. We're signing out here live from Fergs on Central Avenue. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. We'll see you later.